What's up, guys? Welcome back to the videos. So today we're actually going to go through the process of tapping and fitting it to the Accord. As most of you guys saw in the previous video, we have the FK8 Turbo Inlet pipe right there. And in order to adapt it to the Honda Accord, it should just actually bolt on, but there's a few things that you need to do. First and foremost is from the stock car over to the inlet itself, there needs to be a vacuum connection that this inlet currently does not have. So today I'm going to go through the process of actually drilling out and tapping and adding my own nipple to this inlet so that it should theoretically be able to work with the stock engine. So let me show you guys what I have on the table behind me. So if you guys are interested in doing this particular modification, you know exactly what you need to purchase. So on the table behind me, we have the FK8 Turbo Inlet. So you need one of these. We have the Type R metal water line, our coolant line. And that's what's actually connected to the Accord stock inlet, the plastic one. If you update to this new inlet, of course you need to update the part. This is a part number. We have the gasket from P2R, and this is just the thermal gasket. It provides a little bit more thickness, which helps with the mounting of this to the stock turbo. So you guys can check them out, powerrevracing.com. Fairly inexpensive for this. You also need, this is going to be the adapter for the nipple that we're going to place on this. So I'm trying to decide where I want to put it. Ideally underneath would be best because of the flat surfaces that we have down there. I'm trying to get it mounted. The stock one is in this back area right here. This is too thin to try to get it mounted to. So maybe the only other location is to drill down from there so that air can come through. You can tap into that. That's to be determined at this point. But again, the adapter itself, it is a 1/8 inch inner diameter by 1/4. We also have some Loctite. This is thread sealant. It's number 592. There's a few of them that you can get that would work. But as you see, we definitely want to create a seal so that that vacuum doesn't leak, anything like that. So Loctite 592. I got these at Home Depot. And then I also had to pick up another set of drill bits. I have a number of them here at the house, but the drill bit that I needed in order for this to work and for this tap and die set, I needed to have the correct, of course, tap in here. I needed to have it for this particular piece, and then I needed the drill bit to be able to drill out of this inlet and then have this fit there too. And I'm going to double check, but I believe it's either the 7/32 or 15/64. So I'll double check for you guys, and I'll list the information on screen so you guys can see it. And then of course, just your basic hand tools, and that's so that we can take out the intake box, the intake tube. We're also going to need to disassemble, of course, this front top part right here. We'll take out the expansion tank, so it gives us a little bit more room to work, and then we're just going to kind of disassemble and see how we can go through the process of getting everything to fit. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna have to take off in layers. So now that we got that expansion tank out of the way, there is one bolt back there that you can see. We also need to take off this plastic cover. So there's 2 bolts right there, and that actually frees up some of the vacuum lines. And this is a vacuum line that I'm telling you that is actually connected to the inlet. I got the information for switching this out from Joe Felix, and on his, he actually kept it off. But he was telling me in the future that he's gonna probably find a way to route that so the car can utilize the factory vacuum lines. So I'm gonna try to figure out how we can tap this new one and get it routed to the new inlet. Regardless, there's that one that I told you guys was back there. And then the other one is right there. It's kind of blurry. And it's mounted directly to the turbo. So there's only 2 that you have to worry about. This one is gonna be the hardest one to get to. Either way, it's not gonna be easy. Everything's kind of nice and crammed in there. But let's go ahead and get this taken off right here. So now that this piece is free, there's really only 2 things that are kind of holding it closer to this inlet. One of them is going to be this second vacuum line right here, which goes down, and it looks like it's connecting to the turbo housing. And if you guys can see here, it's actually this middle hose. So we're going to go ahead and take off this vacuum line. And all we're gonna do is just remove the vacuum line and allow it to have a little bit more play. And then the last item is gonna be the harness that connects to the wastegate itself. And it's right below. I know it's kind of hard to see, but we can disconnect that from there. And this should move freely out of the way, giving us enough room to take this thing out. So let me go ahead and get to that. I'm gonna speed up the shot here so you guys don't have to wait a whole 10 minutes for me to get this out. So we were able to get off the 2 vacuum lines and also the connection to the gate. Now we're going to unscrew these 2 bolts right here that connect the 2 water hoses together. This is just a metal line. It's designed to not basically burn because it sits right above the downpipe. So once we take these 2 off, then we just have to remove the 2 screws that are holding the inlet to the turbo itself, and then this whole unit can come out. So in order to reach that second bolt down there, I have a 12-inch extension, and it's the one that allows you to swivel the actual socket. And then I have the socket back here, and all I wanted to do is put it on and then break it free. Now this is a very, very tight fit. Let's see if I can make this any clearer. I just want to pull it back enough to where I can then take the ratchet out, put it in a different size extension, and then use my hands to break it out. Now, again, it's a very tight fit. This particular hose is in the way, so you got to be crafty with it. I will show you guys the parts here in a second that I used. That way you can get yourself one in order to get that out. I thought that I could use this crescent wrench that ratchets, but as you can see back there, again, it's really hard to see, so I apologize. But right where that socket is at, the plastic of the gate right here, it gets in the way, so you can't actually put anything like that on there. You're literally limited to one side of the crescent wrench, or you can barely fit a socket on there. So let me take that off. I'll show you guys what I used. For those who are interested, it looks like this one is just shy of 10 inches. So if you were to get yourself even an 8 extension with a swivel, you should be okay. But again, this one is from the very tip to the back of it, it's just shy of 10. So let's get to removing the rest of that. All right, so now that we have this completely unscrewed, we have this disconnected, it should just come right off. Alrighty. Let me show you guys the back side of the turbo. So that's it. That's a little spoolie boy right there. Now, of course, we're going to clean off that surface right there. We are going to get the gasket and the Type R inlet, and we're just going to set it in place and see how it sits in its new location. All right, boys, this is where we're at. So we've got the inlet in place. As you can see here, this is where it needs to mate, but we're having a problem. So of course we already knew that we were going to replace this hose right here. Even if we bend it back, the inlet is going to hit on this O2 sensor. So even bending it back as much as possible, you can't get it to mate up. You can kind of see back there. See it wiggling? It's got to mate up like that. But it can't because of the O2 sensor. So I'm going to say at some point it definitely could fit if you did not have that O2 sensor there, and the only way that you don't have the O2 sensor in that location is if you have the Type R Turbo, because it relocates from here to somewhere down here. I believe it's right there. And that's where the bung hole is at for your downpipe, at least your aftermarket downpipe. So the only way to go about this would be to relocate that O2 sensor, and then it would, or theoretically should, mate right up. I suppose, just thinking about it, and I've never tried this, but I suppose if you were to put on an aftermarket downpipe, some of them come with the bung that covers up the Type R hole. So maybe if you relocate it from that section to where the Type R is and take the bung out of that and screw it into the top of the turbo, it might work. Not even saying that those two would even fit, the bung and the turbo, but it's a possibility. But I'm gonna say for right now, this is not going to get installed until I install the Type R Turbo. So there you have it. All right, guys, so that's the end of the video. We learned some hard lessons today, but they are easily avoidable by watching this video. With that being said, it does look like you can put that inlet on your car if you're running an aftermarket downpipe and you relocate the oxygen sensor. If you don't relocate the oxygen sensor, that inlet is definitely going to be hitting on the surrounding of the O2. So if you guys remember, on the shielding, the oxygen sensor has, it almost looks like its own little like metal flower cup that comes up and like spreads out, and the O2 sensor sits in that. That is what's causing the inlet to not fit. The gasket itself is used to create space between the turbo and the inlet, giving you the ability to clear the gate itself, the wastegate. That's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much more you can do. At this point, my options are, I've got to install the downpipe, so I'm actually headed to get an O2 removal tool, because you need a special tool for that. So at some point in time, I'm going to be installing the new downpipe that I got from RV6. Shout out to you guys. And shout out to Joel for getting me a deal on that. And I need to install the Type R Turbo at some point. I'm not looking forward to that. I've been installing for months, just because it's time consuming and ain't nobody got time for that. That's it, guys. That's pretty much all I have for you. Sorry this video was not what I intended it to be, but hopefully it's useful to some of you guys and you learned something. That's pretty much it. Once again, this is Fahrenheit Motorsports. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate you guys. I wouldn't do what I do without you guys watching. And hopefully you guys are staying safe. Take care.